it was a Saturday. Folks described it as a normal, hot, humid Saturday, and people were at Lakeview Park. So the tornado actually touched down in Sandusky first before it moved over the lake, and then came back down or moved over to Lorain. And then this was where it came on shore, was at Lakeview Park. It destroyed the bathhouse, and then it moved through the neighborhoods, moving east. So a lot of homes and businesses along the way in the downtown and the neighborhoods moved over to the east side of Lorain, and then kept going on towards Avon. The tornado is considered the deadliest tornado in Ohio's history. And the numbers of how many died, the numbers change depending on what source you read, but it's about 70 to 72 people died in Lorain. It's considered an F4. They didn't have that rating system back then. The Fujita scale came about in the 70s. But based on the weather conditions that they know of during that day and the photographic evidence of the wind damage, they think it was an F4. There's a number of stories of just different elements of the tragedy throughout Lorain about what happened that day. 7,000 people were homeless. I think 500 homes were destroyed. So there were, the fabric of the city, there's a lot similar to today in the number of homes, the neighborhoods. There were a lot of churches on Reed Avenue, just like there's a lot of churches on Reed today. There were a lot of businesses along Broadway. So elements have changed, but a lot of the fabric is still here. For generations, folks who lived through the tornado, they would talk about it on the anniversary, or as they saw bad weather approaching, it would kind of come up in conversation. And so folks would start sharing, well, I was here and then I was there. And then since then, those stories, if you have a tornado story in your family, a lot of times those are passed down. We'll have walking tours in the downtown area to kind of walk through not only the devastation and highlight what happened, but then the recovery and rebuilding that came after. That is something, a theme that is still relevant to today, how the city rebuilt and how quickly they rebuilt, and how as a community they overcame this and, you know, became whole again. You know, I guess the question is, why do we want to commemorate an event from 100 years ago? And for Lorain, the history of this tornado is seared into the community here. Whether it's physically in the architecture or in the families that survived it and they carry these tornado stories with them, or the families that lost family members. And there's descendants who never met their grandparents because they died in the bathhouse here, or they died working for American Ship. And so there's like a legacy of how this forever changed our community. But in addition to the tragedy changing us, there's so much to be said about how the community came together and rebuilt, and how quickly they rebuilt, and the motivations behind rebuilding, and the commitment to building Lorain back up, and the pride that Lorain had in itself to want to recover and get back what once was. And it's really inspiring.